This is the Cooking and Common Sense Show. I'm your host, Victor, aka MJ, whatever you want to call me, blah, blah, blah. Just wanted to do one more of these shows. I did one a while ago. When I say a while ago, I mean a long time ago and for a lot of dough. So in that show, I think I made a bean burrito. In this show, I'm going to make a vegetable soup. All right. So in order to make this short, because it's going to be long on common sense and kind of short on cooking, but it's cooking and common sense. So just playing around, creating content. When you're by yourself like I am, you have to keep yourself motivated, keep yourself entertained. And I'm able to generate content by myself. I'm a content creator, and actually one of the things that I enjoy making content about is higher consciousness. So I do that and also cook. Everything that I make, I eat. Everything that I don't have any chefs in here cooking for me and all of that good stuff, so I have to make my own stuff. So long story short, in this vegetable soup, we're going to have onions, we're going to have potatoes, and shout out to Mike Newman for the zucchini. I'm going to put some zucchini in there, put some broccoli in there. I'm going to season it up, and it's going to taste delicious. All right. So I'm going to make this quick because no need to see potatoes being boiled. But I've got 2 potatoes in there that I'm going to boil. And what I'm going to do once those get boiled, I'm going to mash them up, and that's going to be my base. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to cut up everything else and put it in there. So voila, salt, pepper, a little paprika. Actually, shout out to Mr. Newman again. You know, he grew this stuff himself and blessed me with some vegetables. So I made a soup with it, and the last one I made was pretty good. And I had this idea yesterday when I was planning on doing one of the last videos. I know I keep saying that, but we're winding down because come September 16th, I'm going to follow the wise Anthony DeMayo's advice and not advice, and not try to wake anybody up from that standpoint. I'm going to be transitioning to some other things, which I'll explain later. But this is a culmination. It's been years' work. You can look back at everything that I've put out, everything that I've done, all of the videos, all of the talks. They all are talking about higher consciousness, getting to know yourself, raising your own vibration, loving yourself, getting to know who you truly are. And it's interesting, comparing where I am now to where I was then. Man, it's been a journey. And yeah, I made a documentary about it. And that's the interesting thing. Having the ability that I have, I don't need another person to bounce things off of. I'm able to come up with an idea and hopefully do it in a creative way and get that information out without needing to bounce it off anybody or censor it in any way. So what you're seeing and what you're hearing is coming directly from me. So I'm giving you firsthand information. And my backstory back then, it's interesting. And again, this has been talked about, but I'll just give you a brief summary as we're waiting for these noodles to heat up. Because back then I didn't have the 100-degree challenge, I didn't have a website, I didn't have the experience, I didn't travel, I didn't go to all these places, I didn't talk to all of these people, I didn't experience the things that I've experienced. And so there was a lot of growth in my own personal life. But when I first had my awakening, when that first happened, I'm thinking that just based on my character pre-awakening, that people will listen to me. I was very naive. I didn't know the suppression to the information, the programming, the fear, and all of this stuff that goes into people just not want to question stuff. It's very interesting. And I had to wrestle with it because I felt that I had the character of never crying wolf, for being a mechanical engineer, graduating from college. And to be a mechanical engineer, just so you know, you have to know about physics, you have to know about math, you have to know about chemistry. I mean, I have a minor in math. I mean, you're talking about calculus 1, 2, 3, engineering math 1 and 2, geometry, trigonometry, all of that stuff. So you have to know about the physical world and how it works. You don't learn anything about spirituality being an engineer, but you learn about a great deal of information. That's why I went into the mechanical field, because you have a broad range of knowledge. And it's just interesting being in school and going through that process, being out of school, going through that process. I had a lot of life experience. And so when it's time for me to go, I will be able to say that I lived a pretty full life. had experiences that many people may not have, and that's fine. You know, when it's your time, it'll be your time. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody. I know a lot of the things that I talk about, people wonder because it's not necessarily put into a certain boat or a certain belief system or between a certain amount of pages. And I'm not even going to get into all of that right here because we're going to keep it light because we're making this wonderful vegetable salad that, not salad, but soup. And, but the thing is, just saying that, because my story was when I had my awakening, I thought at least my family will listen to me. They know me. They know my character. I've helped them out on many occasions. I've been an upstanding person. I believe I was raised right. I have good role models in my family that I followed. You know, my granddad, my grandma, good people, good, nice, loving people. And I've always been that. I've always been upstanding. I've always been the one that want to speak the truth. So when I had this experience and went to them and you know, kind of knowing how they feel about certain things, it was interesting that the door was closed on me. And because of the religious standpoint, because I left the flock pretty much. And the thing about religion, I'm not going to get into one or the other, but we're all naked underneath, right? So imagine religion being clothes that you wear or a way to express yourself or your beliefs and all of that stuff. But my whole thing was, who was expressing these beliefs? Who are you? You know, that's really the question. And that's a big question. And that's one that a lot of people run from because it takes going within. A lot of these religions rely on someone to save you or some other person to do something for you that you should be doing for yourself. And so that limits you and that puts you in a control box. And there's a lot of people that are in there. And I can't get you out of that box. Only you can. I can't wake anybody up. I already know that. I've tried that on numerous occasions and failed on all occasions. So I understand when someone like Anthony DeMeo says, you know, you can't wake anybody up. But that's one of the persons that I also looked up to. And his work and his talking and what he did inside of the organization that he was in is pretty amazing. And so I kind of replicated that from a speaking standpoint and kind of updated that for the modern times and tried to make it as simple as possible and tried to really filter down the information as simple as possible, because they say if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it. I'm not saying that I understand everything, but I believe I do a decent job of explaining, and I'm not someone that puts myself on a pedestal. I say take everybody off a pedestal, past, present, future. So here we go. So back to the cooking. So I came up with this idea before. I don't even know why, I guess just playing around. But I thought about doing it again when there was an apple here that was cut. And I can show you that footage. Just like anything that I'm talking about, I can show you the footage. I've had a camera in my hand since I was, I guess, 11 or 12 years old. So the life that I live, as different as it is compared to a mainstream person, it's been documented. So if I tell you something about coincidence and synchronicity, like for instance, me buying this onion and this potato and this tomato, there's a coincidence of 27 on this receipt. I can show you that. So, well, I can show you all these other coincidences. You gotta understand, I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer. What I do now, the work that I do requires me to solve problems. I'm a problem solver. And one of the problems that I wanted to solve was, hey, what's wrong with this planet? Why are we treating it like we treat it? What's wrong with these people? Why are we treating them the way we're treating them? You know, in my mind, we have everything that we have on this planet for free. And look at how we divvied it up and look at how we treat each other and the planet. I guess I'm gonna chop this onion up. Oh, and I can use this onion for an example, because we're all layers. You know, you got your outside layer and your inside layer and all of that stuff. Just think about an onion. Just think about the layers on the onion. We're all layers. And what I'm trying to get to is the core being. Most of the time when we're interacting with people, we're only interacting with these outside superficial layers, the ego and desires and just, you know, all of this stuff. But when you peel all that away, just like skin, look at this. There's white onions and this is a dark onion. Look at how much trouble we get just by the outside of the skin, you know. I've experienced being this skin color for my entire life. And I think it's extreme ignorance for someone to judge me or think that I'm less of a person or less smart or less intellectually capable because of the color of my skin, the amount of melanin in my skin when melanin is in all of nature. So it's just an interesting thing. We're still dealing with that day. I just came back from seeing the Black Klansman movie, which was okay. I think I kind of understand where he was going with it. It's an interesting story, definitely, but it's just interesting how we still have some of those things going on today. So yeah, I am, you may notice there is a lack of meat in this recipe. I do not eat meat, haven't ate meat for a while. And if I had $1 for every time someone asked me how I got my protein, I have a few good amount of dollars. I probably could have bought a few things. And I would say, ask an elephant, ask a horse, ask a cow how they get their protein. Elephant is one of the biggest land mammals on the planet. How does it get its protein? You see those big, strong horses, thoroughbreds, ask them how they get their protein. So I get my protein the same way that they do, the same way the cow that you eat gets its protein, right? How does a cow get its protein? It's not eating steaks. Anyway, we're not gonna go there, not in this video. But since we're talking about food, we might as well cover the gamut. So all I'm doing now is cutting onions up, and hopefully these don't make me cry, and so far so good. I'm gonna cut some onions up. I'm gonna cut up some of the zucchini. I got some broccoli here I'm gonna add to it. It's good stuff right here. And our potatoes are gonna boil, and we're gonna come back. What I'm gonna do is put all this in the Vitamix, because, okay, let's talk about onions. When I talk about truth, there's objective truth and there's subjective truth, okay? I gave an example. An onion, okay? The onion exists. This is truth. There is a such thing as an onion. I am holding an onion. I am experiencing an onion. I smell an onion, right? Now, there was a time when I used to like onions. There was a time when I didn't like onions. There's people that love onions. There's people that hate onions. Your truth is onions taste good. Another person's truth is onions taste terrible. That's your truth. I understand that. But regardless of how the onion tastes, the fact is the onion exists. All right, so the 100-degree challenge is talking about what we can agree on, as I said, degree. But I'm using that as an example because we're boiling right here. But we're going to put a tomato in here. We're going to put some onions in here. We're going to put these jokers inside of this Vitamix. And this is going to be the base for the soup. And it's interesting. I've been by myself for quite some time, and I've gotten used to just being by myself, right? So it's a difference between being lonely and being alone. So I've strengthened myself by being by myself in solitude. I've grown in solitude. There was a time where I didn't feel like I fit in, and I really don't to this point. But what I'm doing at this point is actually drawing a line in the sand and saying, hey, for all those people that said I was crazy and that I'm deranged for thinking of things and questioning the things that I have, I've laid out everything as easy and as down to earth and as logical as I can, draw a line in the sand right here and said basically, show me where my errors are, because as someone who wants to know the truth, I want to know the truth as well. And the truth is not owned by anyone. So if I'm saying something in error, please let me know, because I want to work for the highest good of all. I want world peace. You know, these are things that I'm striving for, you know. Like I said before, I'm the leader of a leaderless movement. So it's not about me per se. It's about us and you and what we can do together as a collective, because we're all on the same planet, right? And we can do so much better. I hate wasted potential, waste, or muda as they call it, and at the place where I work. Yeah, and I have a background in Six Sigma and Lean and all that stuff. So it's not like I am just an airy-fairy type of person. I look at the combination of spirituality and science, because we're both studying the same thing. Science just studies the things that you can measure, and spirituality deals with things that can't be measured. But the thing is, the things that are measurable come from that thing that isn't measured, right? So we can talk about this all day. This is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, because again, like Anthony DeMeo would say, what's more fundamental than spirituality? It's that affects the actions in this world that we're seeing. Is based on action. Everything that you see is based on action, and for an action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You can call it karma if you will, you can call it physics if you will. But the thing is, the intent behind the action, the thought behind the action, if you can change that, if you can get into the mind, then you can change what is manifested. So that's the whole intent of this thing. And the 100-degree challenge is just a way to get people to question, to look at things differently, because a lot of people don't question. They just believe what other people told them and think, oh, mom and daddy can't be wrong. And they just keep going on that route. And the thing is, mom and daddy could be wrong. They're wrong about some things. I could be wrong about some things. The thing is, show me what I'm wrong about, because I'll try to shoot holes in it as many ways as I can. So I'm cutting these zucchinis up. I'm going to put these in here. And we're going to mix all of this up, and it's going to make a little slurry. And then when the potatoes get nice and soft, I'm going to mush those up. And then that's going to be the base. And I'm going to put some seasoning in there. And then I'm going to put the broccoli in there. And then we're going to be good to go. Oh, let's go back to the apple. When most people cut an apple, they cut it this way. And this is what got me started, because I started from scratch as far as, I just didn't want to believe something at face value. I wanted to have my own experience. So everything that I'm telling you is things that I've experienced myself, things that I can speak to from my own personal experience. Not that my experience is anything, but if I can do it, you can do it, But the thing is, most people, they cut an apple this way, like straight down the middle. And it makes sense because you can, divvy it up that way and, right through the core. But the thing is, if you cut an apple this way, right? Cut an apple this way, then you'll get a little surprise in there. You'll see one of the beauties of nature. You'll see one of the things that is a fingerprint of the creator, if you will. Sacred geometry, if you will. The same geometry that's in us is in nature. So we're one with nature. That same creator created everything, including you. Right? So the thing is, when you look at geometry, you look at flowers, you look at plants, you look at trees, you look at the way things grow, you can look at the Fibonacci sequence. The same way that you were able to ball your fists is the same way that a snail's nautilus grows or whatever. I mean, you can look all this up. The thing is, you don't have to take my word for anything. I'm just showing you the information. What I've attempted to do is distill it in a way to get to the point and open up the possibilities for you, and just do my part as far as service to others. That's really what I'm here to do. And I don't know how much more time I have left. That's a whole nother thing. But while I'm here, I'm going to maximize my time. And, I'm going to do a video while I cook this soup. I don't know why I call it a salad. I guess because it has all vegetables in it. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up. I'm going to chop some of these up in bigger pieces and put in there. I'm going to put the broccoli in there, and we're going to come back and we're going to have it all done. But maybe I'll just talk through all of this now while we're working, because it's going to be loud if I did that right now as far as this mixing. And you may notice that I have some things covering logos and all of that stuff, because I'm not being sponsored by none of these people. And why am I going to give them a plug? They don't do anything for me or my community or any of us. Yeah, they make good products, but hey, it'd be a different story if I was getting sponsored. So I ain't shouting out nobody like that. And it's not even about that. It's not even about money. You can see everything that I put out. I've done it for free. I haven't charged anybody for anything. There's some people that want to, charge you X, Y, Z to get you to do this, that, and the other. And they may be willing to help. And I understand we all have to make a living. And it's interesting. I'll tell you this story. Just in my journey, knowing what I know spiritually, having my awakening, it's like when I talk to people, they're like, ooh, that's deep thought. But it's like, this is my life. Like, this is for real for me. Like, I'm actually awake, like a Buddha, like the dude that said, hey, how do you want to be remembered? Or as one who woke up, So what happens when you wake up? Like, what is that story? That's the story I'm telling. That's the Truman Show. So what do you do when you wake up? Remember in Fort Lauderdale, after I had my awakening, I went to one of these, because I was just looking at different religions and looking at how different people express themselves and what enlightenment is to them. And like, what are you going to do? Like, once you reach that potential, like, what are you going to do? Like, are you just going to sit down and just meditate all day? Or are you going to actually try to impact the world and change the world? And there's nothing wrong with sitting down and meditating and all that stuff. I think there's a part for that. But me, the way I'm wired is I'm one that goes in and hijacks the matrix, if you will. I'm one of those dudes. So it's not for everybody. I understand that. But that's just the way I'm wired. You know, I have that in my blood. I'm coming from a family of soldiers. And though I never went into the military, I always had a military mindset. I was calculated, pragmatic, and I wanted to win. I wanted to win the right way and win for us all, you know, and it's a journey to do that. And it's a balance to do that. And I'm still learning and I'm still teetering, but I got a pretty good foundation that I'm on, and I have my eyes set on some pretty high goals. So I'm going to shoot for the stars and maybe hit the moon, but I'll be off the planet. So that's the whole key. So we got our potatoes boiling here. We're going to mix up these onions, and I'm going to chop these up while I'm talking to you guys. So it's interesting. This is not going to be real time, but I may do something live before the 16th. Yeah, I have a birthday on the 16th. Not a big deal, but for me, it's like just a closing of one chapter. The information that I put out there will be able to stand by itself. I'll talk to it. I answer any questions that you have if you have questions. The 100-degree challenge is just a measuring stick. Just like this water boils at 100 degrees. Not at 98, not at 97, not at 99, 100. It takes those extra degrees to have a change in state. So that's the play on 100-degree challenge. And it's also a measuring stick to just show you what can we agree on. If it's a fact, then it's a fact. Now, has nothing to do with belief, religion, dogma, all of this stuff. This is a fact. So this is what I'm trying to establish, because I believe and I feel that we can agree on a lot more than we disagree on. The thing is, we clash over what we disagree on. It's like the outside of the onion getting mad because one onion is a different color or a different hue, when we're really the same on the inside. That's really the core of spirituality, is getting in touch with your own self. So it's going to be interesting because these things are going to ramp up. And I'm not trying to make this long, but it seems like it's flowing that way. But it's flowing. You know, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. But at the end of the day, it's going to be something that's going to be added to the time capsule that I'm putting out and the information that I'm putting out. And we're going to see where it goes. It's going to be interesting. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix this stuff up. I'm going to come back. We're going to wrap this puppy up. And then this soup, I'm going to let it sit because probably won't eat it tonight, but tomorrow we'll taste it. And I'll let you know how it tastes. It's going to be decent. I mean, it's not the, world-class soup. It's just enough for me to, eat on for the rest of the week. But I hope you enjoyed what I put out. I will be making myself available to answer questions. At this point, it's like the information is put out there in a way. It's a multi-dimensional way. I've used music, I've used art, I've used video, I've used spoken word, I've used everything that I could, all the talents that I've had to express this fundamental truth that I believe is a fundamental truth. And I put the information out there to show me that I'm off. Again, there's other people that in ancient times and in these current times that would agree with this awakening and this shift in consciousness that's going on now. It's just not mainstream. And my mission is to make it mainstream, at least the conversation, just to get the conversation there, to give you the option to make a choice, because right now you're not even given an option to make a choice in the mainstream. It's something that you have to seek. And you can say, well, for those that want to know, they'll find out. And that's true. You have to be a seeker to find out in this reality. But the thing is, there's a reason why that's the case. And I always wondered that. And I don't even give them the credit, because what I found out, in order to really progress and to really grow, is love is the key. You have to love everybody. I don't judge anyone or anything or any being, even though I've had experiences with things that you wouldn't believe. But I have to love them as well. And I've even practiced on that and meditated on that and even experienced some of that as well. But that's more advanced stuff, from a mathematical standpoint. The things that I've been talking about for years have just been simple addition. Not talking about calculus, not talking about derivatives, not talking about trigonometry, anything, just simple addition. Once you master that, it's easier to get onto the other stages. So we got our potatoes boiling. We're going to mix up a little bit of this, and we're going to get at it, y'all. So I'll get into that later, because we're going to have a lot of discussions, hopefully. If things progress the way I feel that they have a probability to. And this is just me seeing if I can manifest what I envision. It's like, do you have a vision that you can't create? Is that even a thing? It's like, do you have a problem that you can't solve? there's a problem, the solution is in the problem. We have a lot of things that we could work on here. Oh, I didn't even get to the drain thing. You can see that, you know, this is relatively clean, but it gets dirty, I have to clean it, right? Anything that gets dirty, you have to clean it, or else it just continues to pile up. You know, there's a drain in the sink, right? So it goes down the drain. But I was thinking about the planet, right? And looking at the half of the sink as a bowl, right? And there's a drain at the bowl, so if the water gets dirty, it just goes down the drain. We're so used to that, we're taking baths and showers and flushing the toilet, it goes down the drain, we can get rid of it. On this planet, there is no drain, right? So that's why sustainability, that's why taking care of the planet is so important, because there is no other place we're going to go right now. Even if there are other people in other places, us in other places, we're here. So until we get off this place, let's treat this better. This is the only ship that we got in this vast ocean of nothingness that's surrounding us. So the thing is, we're treating it like it's a drain that we can plug and it can go somewhere else. No, we're going to be sitting in it, you know. We're sitting in it now. And we have to do a better job of taking care of the planet. Just bare minimum. And we can do a lot better. We got to do a better job of taking care of ourselves. I'm here in the South, in the Bible Belt, in Memphis, right? You go there and Homer barbecue, this, that, and the other. You look at people, and this isn't from a judgmental standpoint, it's from a health standpoint. What you put into your body is very important. We're looking at solving problems from a health standpoint on the back end. We need to look at it on the front end as well. We need to look at what we put in. To put in healthy stuff to have a healthy lifestyle. Garbage in, garbage out. And we're suffering from what we're eating. This is just a slow death. You know, you look at the causes of death in America, how many of those are preventable by a proper diet? And the thing is, it's a healthier way. You got more energy. You're going to feel better. You're going to have a higher quality of life. And the food does taste good. I mean, yeah, I'm not the best cook, obviously, so you can't judge it by what I'm cooking. But the thing is, after I eat this meal, I'm not going to exactly remember how it tastes. Just like you can't remember that last meal that you ate. Maybe you can remember it, but you still can't taste it. But if that meal was detrimental to your health, it may stay around lingering longer than that perceived taste does. So in other words, that thing that you ate that you know you shouldn't have eaten and you feel bad for eating, after you've eaten it, yeah, the taste is gone. But the effects of eating that maintain, and they stay and they remain. You keep doing that, you keep adding to that, look at what it does to you, look how it makes you feel. For just that temporary sweetness or temporary fix of a minor satisfaction, where does that outweigh the feeling of health throughout the rest of the day? You know, you gorge on one meal, is that worth your health for the rest of the day? I mean, it's just something to think about. And I know I didn't do a good job of explaining that, but you may get where I'm coming from. So I'm going to check these potatoes, because that's the, oh, they got a ways to go. They got a ways to go. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Cooking and common sense. Very little cooking, a lot of common sense. Any questions or comments, let me know. It's not like y'all are paying any attention anyway. It's funny. It's like, you know, like imagine a time traveler, being ahead of your time. What do? Do you wait for the people to catch up, or do you continue to grow and you continue to sell and just leave breadcrumbs? That's what I chose to do, just leave breadcrumbs. I'm going to continue on my path because there's more for me to explore. There's plenty I don't know. You could just say I know nothing compared to the vast amount of information in the universe, but I love to learn. And I'm on that journey of learning. And I'll continue to leave breadcrumbs. And the interesting thing about this journey and this perspective is there's a few things, or quite a few things, that I don't discuss right now because, again, we're talking about addition. And I don't want to get into anything over people's head at this point. There are other people that talk about those things, and I enjoy listening to them and learning from them. But as far as the audience that I'm talking to, we're talking from the ground up. I'm like the Mud Brothers, getting it from the mud. So we're coming from the bottom. So that's where I'm coming from. My story is coming from the bottom. And ideally, you will see me go from 0 to 100. And yeah, just like the 100-degree challenge, see me go from 0 to 100. And it's not about seeing me do anything, because I want it to be us. The vision I have is, again, leader of a leaderless movement. So what does that mean? That means we're in this together. We raise ourselves up. I can't do everything. I can do anything, but not everything. And the same thing with you. But together, we can do everything, or at least a lot more than we're doing now. You have skills, you have talent, you have a genius and ability that you were given, that you were born with, that your gifts. I have my gifts. Together, we can plug in these holes and fit these pieces of the puzzle to make this world, this planet, what it really is. I mean, it's a jewel. I mean, where else are you going to see this amount of diversity, life, beauty? It's a gorgeous planet. It's a jewel. And we need to treat it that way and stop treating it just like it's something to be conquered or something like a trash can. It's not a trash can. There's no drain on the planet. Anything that we put in this, we're going to have to deal with, and we're going to feel the effects from. So let's treat it like our Mother Earth. You know, are you going to treat your mother the same way we treat this planet? We're made from this planet. We'll go back to this planet. This planet sustains us. This comes from the planet, right? So let's just use common sense, right? And eat better. You're going to feel better, all right? So I think we're done with this soup. We done did what we got to do to the soup. So raise your glass. Cheers. Ooh. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself, but we're going to get there. So I guess you can't have a cooking show until you have a finished product. So I'm going to let these potatoes boil for a little bit. I got some stuff to take care of online. For one, making sure the 100-degree challenge is up. I'll be launching that shortly. That'll just be out there as the foundation that I stand on from a spiritual standpoint, because a lot of people, I've had these discussions with people, a lot of people are probably going to wonder what my beliefs are and all of that stuff. So I lay it out there pretty simply and pretty plainly. And it's not anything to do with a belief. It's like, you can believe, again, this onion tastes good or bad, but the truth is there is an onion. So my thing is, what is truth? And let's get to the truth. The truth will set us free. Why was that said? What does that mean? So let's get to that. That's what I want to do. I'll say this. If Martin Luther King had a dream, then I have a vision. And what I am doing is working as hard as I can, and as smartly and as intently, and allowing as well, because there's some times where you have to step back. You got to be patient as well. So it's a balance. You have to know when to act and when to choose not to act, and what choices to make. It's a balance, and that's a thing, right? And I know I'm not explaining that well either, but it's a journey. That's probably the best way to put it. But the intent is to manifest the vision. The vision is world peace, higher consciousness, and evolved awareness for the planet, a world that I can't even imagine, because when you bring your ideas and they bring their ideas and they bring their ideas, it's just going to make things better. So it's not even about me, it's about us. So I think I've explained that in multiple ways for years. It's been a long, long journey. So we're inhaling and we're exhaling. You got to check out Saya. I put everything in music as well. Music is a multi-dimensional message also, because you can only hear it in the now. No matter when it was made, it's only in the now that you can listen to music. So it's multi-dimensional from that standpoint. And the intricacies in there, the feelings and emotions, there's a story within that. So there you have it. And plus, when you listen to music, certain people listen to certain things and see certain things. Same way with art. It is art. Cooking is art. Creating is art. Much respect for the chefs out there. Shout out to the chemist who's to my brother Marcus as well, who are chefs, cook up things. And just to give another example of that, I can give you the recipe for this soup. You can make this soup exactly following the recipe. You will get the same soup. Whether you like it or not, you get the same soup. The recipe is the truth. How you feel about it, whether you believe it's a good soup or not, you have to experience it yourself. That's the thing with spirituality. It's kind of like cooking. I can make something and say it tastes good. I can't make you drink it. I can't make you eat it. I can show you me eating and drinking it and being like, this tastes good. And you have the choice whether you eat it, and whether once you see I didn't fall out and die from it, you have the choice to try it yourself. and see for yourself. That's the only way. You have to try something new to know whether you like it or not. You can't be closed-minded to things that you haven't experienced or you don't know about. Otherwise, you never learn and you never grow. We want growth in certain things, but we don't want to grow ourselves. And the stagnation that we have spiritually is going to limit us, because you look at the growth that we're having from a technology standpoint. And that's why people like Elon Musk would, and I share his concern, because we're going into a virtual world where it's superficial and we're putting ourselves into that without a real connection to each other and ourselves. And if you have an artificial intelligence which really looks at this whole planet and says, hey, these knuckleheads are going to kill themselves in the planet, just like in most of the movies. You got to look at imagination from a huger standpoint, a collective consciousness, to where we're presenting information to ourselves to make us learn. It can be in movies, it can be in this and that. I mean, movies are the new parables. I mean, they're the new books. They're the visual aid. You're getting more information versus a book. Yeah, you can have a vivid imagination in the book, but a movie is going to show you a specific thing on a large scale. And that's a way to communicate as well. So I use that as well. That's why I use these venues to communicate, just opening up the bandwidth. And there's another language that's being spoken now that I don't even control. So that's another part of it. The truth is there, whether it's there. And the thing is, when you see it and you realize it, it's going to help you and empower your life and change your life for the better. And that's all I want. That's all I want. Alrighty, so we're going to get a picture of the soup when it's done, and then we're going to be done.